Yeah, let's do this. All right, guys. It is Thursday. We are here for a special episode of FeatherFall TableTalk, where we are going to do a module review of Waterdeep Dragon Heist, the campaign that we just ended a week and a day ago. So we're going to go through that and tell you what we think, some of the pros and the cons, and kind of where it sits in the pantheon of published modules for 5e. At least according to us and what we have touched. But before we do that, let's get through some housekeeping. We are FeatherFall TableTop. You can find us everywhere at such. Just check us out. Twitter's a good place to engage with us. Even better is Discord. You can find the link down below. Check that out. We're pretty active in there, always talking, always keeping the day rolling by. We have a giveaway going on. I think we have. How much more time we got left on? 3 days? Ooh, get in it, guys. It is some Smuggler's Coffee giveaway, ! Giveaway in the chat here on Twitch. We'll get you the link to the Gleam giveaway. Get in there. 3 ways to enter, and you'll definitely win. So that's there. We are sponsored by Skull Splitter Dice. If you need a set of dice, check them out. They just, like as of 2 hours ago, 2 new Halloween metal sets. They look badass. I can't get them. My wife has said no. But they look pretty freaking awesome. But use code FeatherFall, all one word, to check out. That will save you 10%. Found Familiar. Another coffee company. I mean, it's a long story. Don't worry. But they are our channel sponsor. And they also, you can go to foundfamiliar.com/#FeatherFall. I think I got that right, is our affiliate link, and you can use FeatherFall in checkout for 10% off. But I will share, I got mine today in the mail. I got the Meta Magic. Look at that artwork. I love that little tiefling on there. This is a dark roast. It smells delicious. But I got that today, so I'll give you a review tomorrow. Come on over. But yeah, so check them out too. They've been great so far with us. Any other things?
I would like to add, Found Familiar, they do a very good job of supporting the community. So the artwork that you saw of the tiefling is somebody's artwork in the community.
And there's the detect magic.
Yeah, and I mean they give them all the credit. Obviously, that it's not like they're stealing it. But
nope, it has their Twitter and Instagram on the label.
They're relatively new, and they've become a huge player in the tabletop RPG community, the D&D community. It's great. I mean, I'm just excited to be able to partner with them like we do.
Yeah, been super awesome so far. Pretty active in the community, so that's great to have with us along for the ride. One shots are going to be starting up. I know we've kind of dropped the ball a little bit, but winter, heading out of summer, there's always an excuse, guys. I'm sorry. Just bear with us. We'll get them up and running again. Join our Discord so you can be the first one in there. ! I want in. That's it. But they'll be starting up here. We're kind of getting all our ducks in a row so that we can bring you some quality one shots.
I agree.
Excited about it. So, all right. Housekeeping over. All right, Waterdeep Dragon Heist. Bob, you want to? I think we'll do like a little story overview.
Yeah.
So spoiler alert. Like if you're in the middle of a game or you're getting ready to run this game or playing this game, don't listen.
Yeah. If you're,
hang around. Just turn the sound off.
If you're a DM, that's cool too.
Yeah.
This you'll find this somewhat helpful. If you're listening on like YouTube podcast, if you're a player, please don't use this as meta knowledge to the game. That just kind of ruins the fun for everybody. So I will say, starting with Waterdeep, we came straight from Tomb of Annihilation. We came module to module, but starting with Waterdeep, so you kind of get your feet wet. Parties in a tavern as mini great stories start, and you get to meet the one and only Durnan. Fight breaks out, stuff happens, and tavern is overrun by trolls. So a troll pops up out from the Underdark. You're actually in the Yawning Portal, which is a pretty well-known tavern. But you help out Volo, the one and only Volo from Volo's Guide to Monsters, is in the tavern as well and sees the heroic deeds that you did. I mean, you're level 1, so kind of... I won't get into it yet. We'll just do the overview. I'm sorry. I want to talk about each step as we go. So Volo asks for your help. One of his best friend, Floon, has gone missing. So he offers to pay you to track down his friend Floon. And he gives you a clue of where they last left off. So on his way through, you accept, which you probably should accept. This is where it kind of railroads you, or the adventure doesn't happen. You're given a clue. They're taken by Zentarum. So you track down the local Zentarum, and you find out that they're all killed by some Kenku that are working for the Xanathar Guild, which it creates this lovely backdrop of this giant gang war happening in Chapter 1 between the Zentarum and the Xanathar Guild. So you infiltrate the warehouse, either dispatch the Kenku, tie them up however you want. You find out that they're holding Raynar Neverember, not Floon, which becomes a very big part of this story. And then moving through, you track the Kenku and the Xanathar Guild all the way down into the sewers. You follow the sewers, you follow the little eye prints that are everywhere, and you find a Xanathar lair, which luckily you do find Floon in there. It seems to be housed by an Illithid, which we'll talk about later. And this is where you first see the Stone of Galore. Okay. You return with Floon and Raynar. You're not given any money by Volo. You're actually given a house. So Troll Skull Manor. This is where you really enter Chapter 2. So Chapter 2 is really sandbox. This is meant for you, and this is where I would say if you have Acquisitions Incorporated, it is good to bring this supplement into here. But this is where you get the opportunity to rebuild Troll Skull Manor, which is in Troll Skull Alley. So you get this opportunity to, role play, shop, montage, work with the local guilds. There's also a chance to do some side quests. So this is a good time to meet some of the other factions that are in this book. So going over the factions, let's do that really quick. Do you have those? Nope, I got them. Okay, so first faction that you can go through is going to be Bragan Diarth, the Emerald Enclave, Force Grey, or the Grey Hands, the Harpers, Lord's Alliance, Order of the Gauntlet, the Zentarum. So these are all the factions that in Chapter 2 you can go ahead and do some side missions for. There's roughly 6 per. The book lines them out however you want. But that opportunity is there. So you start to gain some allegiance. You gain some ranks in, say, we did the Harpers and we did a little bit of Force Grey. You gain some ranks in there. Then once that's done and you feel like you've adequately moved on, this is when you enter the Chapter 3, where a fireball disrupts the happenings in Troll Skull Alley. Come to find out that it becomes a crime scene. The players are wrapped in the middle of it and figure out that it is a big plot point. The plot point being that somebody was trying to deliver the Stone of Galore. There was the Zentarum. We did winter, so there's different seasons you can do that have different outcomes. So I'm going to take you through the winter outcome. Where they're trying to deliver the Stone of Galore to you, the party, for safekeeping. Zentarum are after them, and knowing that they're not going to happen, they also sent a Nimblewright. So the Nimblewright fires a fireball, kills everybody. Chapter 3 ensues. Chapter 3 ensues is where you're trying to track down the Nimblewright. You get a Nimblewright detector from Nim. Track it down. They're over at the Gralhund Villa. So the Gralhund Villa is really a shady place of some of the upper echelon of Waterdeep, and you find out that the Gralhund Villa, this is where this point in the book, when you get to Gralhund Villa, is really where the seasons branch. Okay, so Chapter 1, 2, and the first 3 quarters of 3 are on rails. Then end of chapter 3 is where it branches into the seasons. If you're in winter, they're hiding they partnered with the Black Network, which is the Zentarum, to really just try and get the stone, try and get the Waterdeep dragons, and become richer, right? So, then moving into chapter 4, this is where you really hunt for the Stone of Galore. So you find out where it is, and then you're hunting for it, and it takes you through an interesting set of encounters. So I think it was probably 5 different scenes that you go through, and there's 10 total depending on what season you pick. Depends on what order they come in, so it's a nice little flow chart that they have in there. And then you ultimately find the Stone of Galore. Stone is super secret, and somebody sneezed. Disgusting. And so the Stone of Galore is keeping the secret of the Vault of Dragons, and then chapter 5 is where you get to the dragons, which is the currency for Waterdeep, and you fight the big bad at the end. So, simplifying it, but
you said you simplified it, but man, that just felt like all of it.
It did, yeah. Which is kind of
that was a mouthful. But so I think that leads us into exactly some of our feelings of this. But I think before we get into some of the big criticisms of Waterdeep Dragon Heist, question mark, it's a heist. We can talk about some of the things that we like. But I'm going to show off since BB Nat's in the chat. I got to get there it is. My meta magic. Excited about it. Smells good in here. But anyway, so I think there's a lot of good here. I think we left the game feeling a sour taste, and that could have been a few things. It could have been us tombed out and ready, and then we were kind of let down, so that it amplified kind of the disappointment. I think that's part of it, but then part of it, I think they do drop the ball a little bit in the adventure.
So just to set up the mind frame, I feel like when Waterdeep Dragon Heist and Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage were introduced, it was so hyped. It was I would say it was at the height of the pinnacle of where Dungeons and Dragons is going, right? Not the pinnacle, because we're kind of there right now. It's on this huge upward climb where it's getting a lot of recognition. Yeah. And these 2 modules were very, very hyped.
Yeah. Well, let's think about when it came out. They did the Stream of Many Eyes, right? The big get together down in California, tons of A-list players in the D&D world down there together, and it's a full immersion, building the hype. That was exciting, and I couldn't help but feel excited about it. So it was just it was stacking on each other. We're playing Tomb, getting to the end, getting upset, and we're seeing all of that happen. So I think that helped really build the hype. And they did the same thing for Descent into Avernus, which again helped kind of build that hype, and I'm excited for that one too. But I think that like I said, built the hype and kind of got the palette ready for Waterdeep.
So what do you think? So I'd like to ask, and we'll start with each of you. Do a quick tagline review of this for you, and we'll start with you, Travis. So just a quick tagline of how you felt about the module. Just quick, 3 sentences.
Started off really fun and interesting, and fell flat on its face.
I'm kind of the same way in my notes. I was like, chapters 1 through 3 are fun, and there is some railroadiness, but it's open. We got some good player interactions, and then again, you get to chapter 4, and it's wait, there was supposed to be a heist. There was supposed to be what's going on here? It was all of a sudden the game kind of changed, and I didn't like it.
If I could change mine, I would probably say it was fun if you were doing anything that wasn't part of the module.
So I guess that's gonna we built up in chapters 1 through 3 for me. We built up some player motivations that the story didn't allow once you got to chapter 4 to finish. And and I don't know if that's an R problem or a module problem, but with chapter 2 being so open, it lends to those different storylines and threads. So I had different motivations. That motivation of getting to Manchun was kind of dropped in our lap at the last minute, and it wasn't a motivation for my character to go deal with that guy.
Right. So I think, and as the DM, I think this module suffers from a few things. So I like the thought of the module. It needed to be structured differently. So just quick from my end, I think it helps flesh out a city. I think it really helps bring color to a city. Like, so Chris, you and I were talking before the stream, just like Storm King's Thunder brings, and I'm going to use this just as, supporting argument to mine. Storm King's Thunder brings like life to the Sword Coast, whereas Tomb of Annihilation brings life into Cholt. It brings Port Nyanzaru, and time again, when people talk about Tomb of Annihilation, Port Nyanzaru is part of the best part of the game. Yeah. Like somebody called it the Monte Carlo of the jungle, and dude, it's exactly that. Like, okay, but back to Waterdeep, it helps flesh out a city where I feel like 5e does not have good lore in some of the books, right? So it helps add to that lore. It helps give you like this nice supplement to a bigger campaign.
Right. So here is my open advice to anybody starting in 5e that wants to play in the Sword Coast. Pick up Waterdeep Dragon Heist. Pick up Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide. Pick up Storm King's Thunder. You will have a lot of information about the Sword Coast, and run your own shit. Like, run what you want to run. I mean, Storm King's Thunder is a great story, and it's got a ton of encounters and stuff that you can build in there, or just run Storm King's Thunder.
Right.
But you now have all the information to run a fully fleshed out world on the Sword Coast. And I think that's what the best thing for me. And I'm glad I have the hard copy of Waterdeep Dragon Heist, because now I have that Waterdeep information, and I think that's the best thing carryover from this model.
Right. So I think for me, it was okay. It was fun. So do we want to go into the good and the bads?
Well, yeah, I have a list of pros here, and I'll kind of throw them out there.
Let's do good.
Yeah, I'd like to start with the good, because there are some good things here. But so the number one, or the first pro, not the number one, but the first pro for me was the seasonal options. At least as the feel of pre-game planning and us players getting together, we all kind of voted on what we wanted, and we kind of knew that feeling going in. So you get to choose what season you want it to take place in, and we chose winter. Just because we came out of the steaming hot jungles of Cholt, we're thinking, okay, let's mix it up. Let's go winter. I like the visual aspects of a winter. So let's do that. So we chose that, and it gets you a specific bad guy, a big bad guy. But I think that now gives you more replay options here, gives you more...
if you want.
Right. Not many people are going to go back and replay this, but... Here's something that I'm learning from Storm King's Thunder is you can take some of those, like, at a certain point, spoiler alert for Storm Kings, is you have to pick what giant type you want to go fight. Well, we picked stone, but you still got fire, you got cloud. So all of that's like a world or an encounter that you can then save for later homebrew stuff or whatever. You can take that and make it the new bad guy for your homebrew campaign, whatever. So I like that. Replayability in that way, not in the way that you're just going to go run through the module again, just in autumn. I don't think that's how I would use it, but it's there. So what do you guys think about the seasonal options? This is something new, at least to my knowledge. Those
I like
right
it.
Off the bat you choose.
I like it in the fact that I feel like when I'm playing D&D, it's kind of like whatever weather it is outside at the time. So it's like what I'm really doing is what I put into here. And, sometimes like DMs aren't descriptive on the actual weather. Like picking a season kind of adds a layer of flavor to it.
Yeah.
I like the idea, and you can do any season for any bad guy. Like there's not anything that's winter specific with Manchun, like at all.
Right.
It's just you pick winter and it just ties you to there.
And there is a note in here that says feel free.
Yeah.
To swap.
So
play in the winter but fight.
I like the idea of 4 different bad guys and running down 4 different tracks. So that to me is more interesting than picking a season. Like I think this season just adds flavor.
Okay. Yeah. Travis, how'd you feel about winter?
I liked winter. I mean, I don't know what the other seasons really offered. I'm always like predisposition towards winter. I love that season as a whole in general, like as a person. So I enjoyed the snow setting and all of that. Yeah. So I thought it was really cool the things we put in there and the holes in Troll Skull Manor.
Yeah.
And the snow piling up, and there were a lot of cool things there, and having to be aware of like footsteps and all that kind of stuff. So I thought it added some cool stuff. And I like that there are options.
Yeah, there was a lot of gameplay that came out because of the snow. Like you mentioned at Troll Skull, right? We played up the fact of having a fire burning and sleeping close to the fire. Like we all had our own bedrooms, but we all stayed downstairs next to the fire, right? Because we were playing in the world. Like it's freezing up there. And, you know, how many times do we track footsteps in the snow? Like those things. I mean, in summer you're probably gonna have different things to add there flavor wise, but we kind of played with that, and we asked constantly, Bob, we asked you, the DM, like what's the storm like, you know, because you'd mention it and then sometimes we'd forget, like, is it still storming? And you know, so it gives you some brief flavor moments where you're popping your hood back on and you know, messing with trying to get out of the storm. So that was nice.
So I think another pro for me is the amount of like interesting characters that are built into this book. So like it created a lot of villains for you, and you know, like there were some characters in here that are like a-holes, right? So there's a lot of enemy evil people in this book,
right?
And it does a very good job of kind of describing them, how they'd be. And so like it's a great NPC supplement. It's a great like descriptor. So like Jaraxxle is probably one of my favorite characters of all time, and it's just fun to be able to role play him in the city, right? So like I don't know if I have enough skills to do that like in a homebrew campaign. I probably do. I just don't give myself enough credit. But it's fun to have these people. So like Volo, I got Volo's Guide to Monsters back there. It's fun to role play him and it be an actual thing in the world.
Yeah, no, that was one of my notes, was like iconic. Travis is having a disco party. There was some iconic NPCs. I mean, if you got the Yawning Portal book, you see Durnan on the cover. You meet Durnan the first freaking episode, right? You got Volo's Guide to Monsters. You meet Volo. You have the chance to fight Xanathar. Jarlaxle.
Yeah.
Jarlaxle. He's an iconic villain that I haven't spent enough time or knowing who is, and that's partially because I don't want any kind of spoiler when I do encounter him, right? And I want to be fresh. But those are iconic NPCs and they're all kind of like, it's the who's who of Sword Coast not villainy, but
well, they are. I mean, they're all villains.
Yeah, I mean, so that's cool. So having enough 5e under my belt and knowing enough of those guys, it was fun to be able to meet them in a game, and I think that could be something special. So
I think we touched on my other pro. It is like the amount of life it brings to Waterdeep. So it gives you a lot of rundown. It gives you a lot of different places. It gives you a lot of like ideas on different wards and sectors and stuff like that. So it gives you like this awesome city supplement, and I feel like. I feel like there needs to be more of that. Like, I would buy a book of just straight city supplements. You know what I mean? I would buy a book that just has Daggerford. So it has, 3 pages on Daggerford.
Right.
And so...
Sword Coast Adventures Guide's pretty good with that. It doesn't have 3 pages for every town, but it's got, a page and a half or a page. But, yeah. So just thumbing through the book, like chapter 9 in this is all Volo's Waterdeep Visitor's Guide. So even if they made that just its own like little PDF on Drive-Thru RPG, where now you have this enriching information about Waterdeep without, you know, the the adventure. You know, you're getting a page and a half of each ward within Waterdeep, and on top of that, you get, I mean, we should say there is a map, a tear out map that's here. So you get your hands dirty there and be able to look at the map and work with that. But that, I guess that's like what I'm most excited about. And I wish there was a way to make that excitement a little more present in the game.
So, you know, I think this could be salvageable. I think the idea and part of my concern. So I'm going to go into the cons. Was there any other pros?
Well, I just said chapters 1 through 3 were fun. Chapter 1 was a little railroady just because they want to get you Troll Skull Manor in your hands. And then that's when it kind of opened up for me. And, you know, I remember we had countless episodes where we're just playing house, right? We had 2 or 3 episodes back to back where we're just like, what are we going to decorate over here? What are we going to do over there? Oh, shit, there's a ghost in here. Like, let's be friends with that guy. That was some of the highlights for our group. And I wanted more of that, and then all of a sudden, oh shit, there's a storyline going on. We should probably figure that out. Right. You know, you gotta take the DM leads a little bit. So it kind of took us away from that and got us back in that railroady kind of thing. So I liked chapter 2 a lot, where Troll Skull Manor was the highlight.
Yeah, so it created a great world for role playing and having fun with. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, we need a railroady count. Like, how many times have we said that? 3?
Okay, so
let's go into the cons.
Yeah, so here's some of the cons for me, and I'll start as the DM. I think it's probably more appropriate. So I am notorious for having not enough time to do anything. I don't have enough time to do as much as I want. So when I run a module, and Tomb was pretty good about this, I feel. When I run a module, I'm not going to read the book start to finish. I don't have time to do that right at the start. I would say, gonna venture a guess, well over half of the DMs out there do not have time to read the module start to finish. So part of my con is there are these major plot points that are like tucked away in this little tiny sentence in the book.
Yeah.
So if you don't know like the absolute necessary emphasis that leads you to chapter 5 in chapter 1, it falls into the trap of what we did. So there was a point where Lesta's like, what are we even doing here? and so it highlights that. So I think a simple remedy to that, put an outline in the start of the book that says, this is what happens.
Yeah.
And then, hey, highlight, maybe make put it in bold. I don't care. Do whatever. Yeah. Highlight why the stone is important in chapter 1. Because, so there's a point in chapter 1 where the Illithid, which also maybe comes in Dungeon of the Mad Mage, I don't know, has no other fucking bearing on this module than in chapter 1 when you're in the Xanathar lair, and he walks away with the stone.
Right. And that was a story beat that we as players missed.
Yeah. And I as a DM didn't put the right emphasis to make sure you guys didn't miss it. So that's my downfall as a DM. Like, I understand that. But as a person reading this book, and I have almost every module that's come out for 5e. There's a few I'm missing. I'm missing Storm Kings. I've read them. I get the general storyline. I feel like Waterdeep Dragon Heist does a poor job of that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, going back to that encounter with the Illithid, I remember being level 1. You see a Mind Flayer. I'm at like 4 hit points because we just went through a string of goblins, right? Our goal was to get this guy and get the hell out of there. It was like, I'm not paying attention to the Mind Flayer with the Stone of Galore. Like, my character was not. So to put like that carrot on the stick way over there in the darkened shadow of the fucking dungeon.
Right.
I'm not looking over there. The quarry for our job is right here. I'm getting them and getting the hell out of there.
Right.
So there wasn't any motivation for Val to look over.
Right. And I'll say in my defense, I don't have time to read a book, like read a book at work. I can sit at work and I can type at my computer and it looks like I'm working. But I can't read a book all day. Yes. So I can come up with... So that's why I kind of am excited to go back to Homebrew, because I can come up with all my own shit. I got 40 hours to do it, baby.
Yeah. So just buy it on D&D Beyond, where you can access it.
It's blocked at work.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to you made the comment of, an outline would be nice. They do have the flow charts, but they are so vague at points, and especially like dropping those major plot point hints where you need to, as a DM, you kind of need those. So I think, like you said, as you are going, like you have the flow chart, but then as you're reading through chapter 1, maybe just another little side box, something that says, by the way, this is important.
Yeah.
Reference chapter 4, page whatever. Okay, good. That helps me out. Now I don't have to thumb through chapters 3 and get to that point by happenstance. I know exactly where it's at because you've told me. So that would be nice. I totally get what you're saying.
So, okay, I'll read you the flowchart. This is it. Chapter 1, Volo gives the adventurers a quest and an estate as their reward. Chapter 2, adventurers settle into their new estate and meet the neighbors. Chapter 3, a fireball explodes in Troll Skull Alley, setting off an investigation. Chapter 4, adventurers join the race to find and unlock the Vault of Dragons. What race? Like, did you guys get the sense in any of chapter 1 through 3 that this is a fucking race?
No, not
even slightly.
Not at all. And that was one of my notes. Like, Heist was kind of a mislabel title, because when we were talking about this and shopping it around, like in our private chat and setting up artwork, and we were thinking Ocean's 11, right? Dragon Heist. Let's go and get the biggest heist. Heist is such a strong word, a vivid word that conjures up Ocean's 11, or like the Italian Job, right? We didn't get any of that, and we had. Well, let me back up. There was moments of that, like when we're helping Volo. I was like, okay, this is the heist. Like, there's moments of that. We're going in the dungeon. We're getting a guy. We're coming back. We get a reward. What's the next one?
So,
but the main heist was never like.
It wasn't like the main point. So like, okay, so direct comparison to Tomb of Annihilation. What is the start of Tomb of Annihilation?
You are told exactly what you need to go do.
I need you to stop the death curse.
Yes.
Okay, what are you told?
What you need to go.
What are you told at the start of Waterdeep Dragon Heist? Go save my friend. Okay,
and you
so you go save your friend.
Episode 3, we return the friend.
And then Stone makes an appearance. So it's like this needs, when like in a movie, right? So you have the hero, they're doing something, they don't really know this shit's happening, but like say the villain that they don't know is a villain yet passes before their eyes, and but then the camera pans to what the villain's doing. It needs that. It needs like the exposition of the villain doing these things in like the Zentarum fighting the
or word on the street.
Or guess what?
There's whisperings of.
Yeah, and sure, that could be my downfall. I could put that there. But the adventure background could probably help that. Gold embezzled. Lord DeGault Neverember embezzles 500,000 gold pieces and hides it. Stonecrafted. DeGault hires a wizard to create the Stone of Galore, then hides the artifact in the Palace of Waterdeep. Like, if these... So maybe I could have dropped these whispers in there, and maybe in retrospect that's my fault. But, like, me as the DM and reading through the book chapter by chapter would assume that the book has major plot points that help emphasize the point of the story.
No, I agree, and that's going back to where there's the shift from chapter 3 to 4. It's like, whoa, all of a sudden Manshoon's a figure here, and he's looking for the stone, like, and then, oh yeah, by the way, he's this powerful wizard that just fucking destroys you. So I guess that was another one of my complaints, was they're having you encounter things that are way above your pay grade.
Yeah, dude. So level 1's fighting a troll in Yawning Portal. Y'all are dead.
Well, we would have died if Durnan wasn't there.
So Durnan could have fought the troll by himself. His stat block is better than a troll. Maloon War Dragon could kill Manchun by himself, and probably the 4 other thugs that are there. You guys can't even get close to Manchun. Like, sorry. Floon or Mert wasn't as agile.
No, he's a little
as
squishy.
But
okay, so go ahead.
No, I was just gonna. But like, I agree with what you're saying in the fact that you're not the heroes. You're like the bumbling.
Well, what's the title of our last episode?
Right. The unsuspecting heroes or something. Unlikely heroes.
Yeah,
because it's not you all. But the problem is that it tries to make you out to be. So like you get this like, and maybe this is a plot hook for after Waterdeep. You get like this fame of being these, amazing adventurers. These, like highly sought after. But you're kind of like a sham, right? Because Maloon War Dragon came and saved you.
Right.
Mert saved you. Yeah. And so it's like, maybe that could have been fun to play afterwards, but...
Yeah. So I mean, to be honest, I have not read Mad Mage and how this kind of meshes, what's the bridge from Waterdeep Dragon Heist to Mad Mage? I don't know. But if we're leaving a lot of those open in Dragon Heist to be picked up in Mad Mage, I think that's a misstep. And I don't know, we kind of had the intention of doing Mad Mage, but we dropped that idea pretty quickly into a Dragon Heist.
I think we dropped that at the end of Tomb because we're like, so we really loved Tomb up until the Tomb of the Nine Gods. Yeah. This party is not suited for a dungeon crawl.
Right. The best parts of Tomb of Annihilation was our time in the jungle. And we talked about that. But so that was another one of my complaints, was the big bad is really non-existent until the end, and then all of a sudden you're just getting lightning bolt toasted. So that your hands are kind of tied. It's like, well, what do we do? Do we continue to push through this, or
and like I feel
we can't take him out?
So Manchun wasn't mentioned until I forcefully put it in one of the quests,
and that was one of the greatest moments. Was when we first saw Manchun. And he did lightning bolt us, and we had to make that decision to rescue Jax and Templeton. It was a great dramatic moment, but to go knowing that now and then to go immediately back into fighting Manchun is that's lunacy to me. That's no character would do that, right? I'm not going to go back into somebody that is totally overpowering me and try to kill him, or throw them at them. I mean. It's just, it felt like a cop-out, right? It's like,
yeah,
Manchun kicked your ass. Okay, go get the gold. Now Manchun's going to show up. He's going to kick your ass again. But we're going to write in the fail-safe. Here comes Water Dragon or War Dragon and Mert and company.
Right.
Like, that's we're not the heroes now. I play this game to be a hero. Like,
I'm not one
fucking
in
average.
Life.
I'm an average Joe in everyday life. I want to be the hero.
Right.
Now, again, maybe you become the hero in Mad Mage, and who knows, and all as well. But I'm not playing Mad Mage. I'm playing Dragon Heist. So,
yeah, I think that's part of what it suffers from too. Is that they made it into this? It's almost a module that can't stand by itself. You know what I mean? It's almost
totally had that feeling.
Crutch to Mad Mage, to an extent.
Well, then don't charge me $50 twice. Like, honestly, like, give me in one book.
It's not mine. And like part of it, I agree, but then that's a lot of content because Dragon Heist levels 1 through 5 was $50. Dungeon of Mad Mage.
Let me tell you how much of this content was not used. Right.
Oh, right.
So how much of that can we kick out? Make it one book.
So, but okay, charge me $70 for both of them then.
Exactly.
Like, so Dragon Heist is 1 through 5. Mad Mage is 15 through 20.
That's
15
like
through 20
years of content.
Yeah, dude, that's insane. no party. I played one game for 2 years. We made it to level 11 using actual XP sessions.
Yeah.
Not milestones.
Yeah.
Level 11, dude, that's 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. I mean, another con I had was the amount. And now, granted, Waterdeep is a big place, right? But the amount of factions that were available.
The amount of factions that were available is what he was saying. Not back yet.
Sorry. My freaking dogs are flipping. But the amount of factions and guilds that are just flying by, and you got to like pick one, and hopefully you pick the right one because you don't really know all about them, and there was just so many.
Well, and that's what makes Chapter 2 ridiculous, in the fact that there were so many. And guess what? So you pick out of the 6 factions, there's 6 quests per faction, right? So you pick a couple factions to throw at the players. I threw Zentarum at Makani because Makani kind of borderline evil character, right? And so you throw the evil faction at him. I threw Harper's because majority were good. I think Harper's went to you, Jax, because Jax is lawful good character.
Yeah.
Maybe chaotic good at best. But so like you pick these different factions, and it's like, hey, you get a note in your head. Like, you get somebody sends you a message. Meet Vajra Blackstaff. Who? Why? Are you going to kill me? Like, this doesn't sound fun. Or, like, meet Mert. Meet Mert at the theater.
But again, those are, like, detractions. So now we're trying to, like, pick up the thread. But now we got Zentarum coming in. We got Harper's coming in. We got...
And I think part of the problem is that... So Chapter 1 is this little itty-bitty book. Chapter 2 is this huge section. Chapter 3, 4, and 5 are like these little things. And so I think that's the main point to take away from this entire review. Chapter 2 loses focus of what the module is about because it becomes play house, play shopkeep, bring in Acquisitions Incorporated, run a shop, do some random side missions that have zero impact until the very, very, very last fight where you guys are going to die, and who you did these missions for come and help you. So like this much content for Chapter 2, this much for 1 through 3, 4, and 5. Man, that's part of the problem too.
Yeah.
It just felt like so many parts of this didn't really serve a real purpose.
Right.
The faction served a purpose because they led to the people helping you at the end.
Yeah.
But what was the point of all the rest? Most of the characters we met didn't really do anything for us. They didn't. There was no conclusion. What was the point of going through that crypt or whatever you want to call it at the end?
Yeah, that mini dungeon pissed me off.
It was so okay.
Like, it was just so frustrating. Like, I don't want to go through a bunch of traps and like. It's out of place.
But why? Okay, you're in Waterdeep. Not Waterdeep, if I know my lore correctly enough, was not a dwarven city. Why is there a dwarven ruins under Waterdeep?
I don't know.
Maybe it's Undermountain. I don't know. Like, I don't know how those two fit.
Right.
Like, it doesn't
All
say.
I know is it was frustrating. Like, it felt like almost immersion breaking. Like, what are we doing down here? Why are... And then all the descriptions were like very dwarven, and it's like, okay, does that mean anything to us? I don't know. So it was frustrating, but okay, moving on. Another note I had was, at least in the book, it needed more like flavor pictures. And what I mean by that is we do get some snapshots of what like life on the streets would look like. I wanted a little bit more, and at least maybe in the Roll20 module that you could share out and have as just like a background pick to kind of draw off of. It was nice, the few that are in here.
Well,
I wanted to see more of that.
And to be clear, Waterdeep was... So, looking at the main article, History of Waterdeep was used as a trading site for trade activities between northern tribesmen and southern merchants.
So dwarves?
1088 DR onward. So, BB Nat, please tell me how it works, because if it's something I've missed somewhere,
Yeah.
I use fandom, the wiki that they have for Forgotten Realms as majority of my lore. If that is wrong, please tell me. Like, I'm not calling you, I'm not saying you're wrong. Please help me. Because that's where I grab all of my supplemental information. Like, I do feel like they give you a lot of good flavor text. A lot of good flavor text in the book. At the start. At the very start. It sets up Waterdeep. And I feel like I did a good job of letting the party know that Waterdeep isn't a place to really fuck around in the fact that there are strict laws. There are the Waterdeep City Watch don't joke around. And so, like, I don't know. It just, like, teeters out, you know.
And we kind of knew that from the onset. Like, guys, like, here are the laws of Waterdeep, right? So we knew how to kind of push the line as much as our somewhat villainous type characters would. But I think it kept us in check, and it was kind of a nice, as much as I hated the City Watch, it was kind of nice to have that pushback, right? So you can't go murder hobo. You can't, you know, this game will be derailed quickly if you decide to kill this person right here in the street, right? So you do have to use some different levels of negotiation that in Cholt, or, you know, are not going to be there. So I do appreciate that, but there we are.
I like that idea, BB Nat, to be honest, that it's multiple holds, like it went through multiple holds by multiple races, you know, that built on top of each other. It almost kind of reminds me of, like, the Roman Empire that just built on top of each other. So, like, as they dig under the city, you find all of these nice Roman ruins. I guess it's interesting to think about. But I would agree with what Plague State said, is that Waterdeep is Cosmo in design. Dwarven ruins aren't expected, but also aren't out of the question. But like, that being, like, it doesn't make sense to me. And the reason why it doesn't make sense to me is because, like, you have the City of Splendors, literally the tagline for Waterdeep, but then you go into Dwarven Ruins and there's nothing else in the campaign that ties to Dwarven Ruins. It's just like, is it leading up to Dungeon of the Mad Mage? I don't know. I haven't played that. But it just feels out of place. Yes, you're absolutely right. It's not out of the question. You can find any kind of race ruins anywhere, any kind of civilized ruins anywhere, but it just felt out of place.
But if you're going to provide me, like, an out of the blue dwarven ruin, give me time to explore and to, like, kind of figure it out. But this was very, hey, here's a bunch of dwarf shit. Oh, here's all the gold. Now you're being attacked.
It felt like lazy dungeon to me. It had, like, 3 traps. All of them were, like, okay, kind of fun by design, but, like, they don't really have anything to do with, like, okay, so there's a mural that is entrancing. What? Okay. Then there's 3 rooms that have traps in each of the rooms. Why?
The mural was the most interesting part of that whole place.
Because
what does that say about the rest of that place?
I added the flavor to that. Like, it doesn't... If I were to read the mural, it doesn't give you any description. It doesn't tell you what's on the mural. Like, I added the flavor to that. I don't know. I'm sorry. This book is frustrating to me.
All right, then that's you being a DM that is cognizant of the void that needs filled. So good there. I had a question. You know, we get chapters 5 through 8, and those are in the adventure flowchart are the villain layers. What are they in there for? Are you telling me I'm going to go fight Manchun? Like, go on Manchun's property and take him out? Because chapter 8, because we chose winter, would be the Manchun chapter. So 5 is Xanathar, 6 is the Castellanter, 7 is Jarlaxle, and 8 is Manchun. So depending on what your party chooses, you're going to pick one of those chapters. So are you telling me I just got my ass kicked by Manchun? I'm going to now go get seconds? So it's a big chunk of the book that is wasted. I mean, wasted in the sense of this module.
So there's
wasted
a chance,
in the sense of...
To be fair to the module, there is a chance you don't even encounter Manchun in the Temple of God. It wasn't the Temple of God, the Temple of Bane. You don't encounter him there, in the fact that if you're quick enough, you leave before he gets there. If you're slow enough, he comes and takes the stone, right? So there is a timer on that, which, okay, good for doing it that way. Great. I love the timers. I love timers in any kind of D&D game. It's fun to me because it gives the party a sense of
it's the urgency.
Yeah.
Hey, we got to move. We can't dawdle.
So
I like that.
If Manchun got the stone,
okay,
you have to go get it. So does that become like the heist?
Okay, but still, you're level 5 taking on a level 8, 9, whatever Manchun is. You're outgunned, and which I understand. I like the idea of the 300 versus everybody else, right? I'm okay with that, but we've already just had our ass kicked 3 times. Like, I'm not going back. Right. And I think that led us into a good reason why, plug for our Ghosts of the Past, why the characters are now leaving Waterdeep and Val is so quick to leave.
Yeah.
Is because he had his ass handed to him, and now he's like, tail between the legs, let's go adventure.
Agreed.
Right?
I agree.
So for us to take on the homebrew, I like what they did to us. I just don't think it's like a solid story, or at least ending to a story. One last thing, and this is very centric to our party, and one of the notes that I had was this provided Waterdeep Dragon Heist provided less character growth and group growth than Tomb of Annihilation did. And as much as we dogged Tomb of Annihilation, I think we had a solid group understanding of our characters, and we told some great stories, and it seemed like to be lacking a little bit in Waterdeep, and that was kind of disheartening for me.
I would agree, and so I think what really helped Tomb of Annihilation grow was the random encounters. You're not going to get random encounters in a city. Like, yes, there are going to be some,
right? But
the amount of actual like scheduled fights in this book is close to none.
Yeah,
and so I think the fighting and the in between the fights, and the Oni chasing you, and just surviving in the jungle is what offered that. I think in a city, you're kind of like, this could almost be like akin to life, right? In the city, you kind of like don't really care about other people, and you're just moving along at your own at the city pace of, I got shit to do, I don't have time for you. Whereas in like the country, you're kind of, everybody, and you're kind of like, oh, hey, how's your day? And like life moves a little bit slower.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I think part of it too is that, I mean, Devin made a certain character that, Templeton was what he was, right? He's not going to be a big RP pusher. I made Val, he's kind of an asshole. Alesta was kind of edgy. Makani was kind of edgy. Jax is that one kind of, the softer character. So it wasn't like soft in all the good ways. But it wasn't like in Tomb where we all had the same mission, right? Death Curse, figured out. Like this was, we all had something different. So it was missing something to tie us all together. And I think it goes back to the very start, right? What is the mission? We got Troll Skull Manor, now what?
I don't need to do anything else. And
then we all kind of fanned out and wanted to do our own thing, which is great, and which is what, RPGs can do. It gives you that option. So I don't know. It just felt like, and I don't know if it's just Val versus Binks for me. Like, Binks was such an innocent character that, you care, or at least I cared for him more than Val. You know what I mean? And it might be that.
I should kill Val more often. I think that's part of the problem.
Right. Okay, so to kind of, let's place this in a position. Waterdeep Dragon Heist. So we do have fairly limited knowledge of the 5e published modules. But out of the ones we've encountered and kind of heard things, how does this rate and where does it sit?
Last for me. I've watched a lot of Curse of Strahd. By far, my favorite module, hands down. I would put Tomb of Annihilation second. I would put Storm King's Thunder right in there. So I've read through that as well. I would put Lost Mines of Phandelver, which is the starter adventure. I think it's fun. I think it's
pretty solid,
great.
though. It's
I would put that fourth. I don't know too much of the others. I know Tales of the Yawning Portal. Like, I have that. It doesn't seem like it's a ton of fun. Like
it's kind of like Ghosts of Saltmarsh, where you're getting a bunch of
like
stories you can string together, but they're
like a moose bouche of like what a real module should be like. I would rank it last, only in the fact that it struggles for the busy DM. It struggles for the lack of time DM, in the fact that it can't, like, you can't. Whoa, sorry. Like, it doesn't string it all together for you. You as the DM need to consciously be aware of that ahead of time and do it yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Go ahead, Travis. Like,
I'm a newbie, right? So I have played 2 modules now. Waterdeep, obviously, and Tomb of Annihilation. Starting off with Tomb of Annihilation, that was what I envisioned D&D to be. City exploration, jungle exploration, coming across cities, encounters, the Oni, the tombs, sneaking around. It was great. Waterdeep had a lot of RP. That was so fun to do all of that. But it just never, ever came together for me. So, I mean, it's last for me out of 2.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if I had to put a space between it, 2 is like...
distant 2.
like a
Gotcha.
1 on 100 scale.
It's like me racing...
like 90.
It's like me racing Usain Bolt, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I came in second.
But yeah.
So, but, I mean... it had so much potential, and I felt like there was just so many missed opportunities to bring a lot of these characters to life. Like, we saw the ice and fire person, whatever their character names were.
Genasi's
the Genasi's were great. We saw them once, maybe twice.
Well,
you know, I don't know, and that's just for side stuff. It didn't have any impact on the story. It's just. It was fun. It just was as a story, as a module. It just wasn't great. A great world, though.
I think as a big city would do is you get saturated with options, right? So we met the fire and water genasi once, but they're there. I want to go back. I want to figure, but there's just no time. There's no time. So Bob, I'm kind of with you and Travis too. Storm, I'm almost done with Storm King's Thunder. We're on kind of a hiatus, but I love Storm King's Thunder, and I would love to play Storm Kings with a DM that's better than me, because I think it would be even more fun. You know what I mean? It's like, but now, having run through it, it'd be kind of tough to be a player in it. But it's a solid story. You have a clear mission. There's some open world stuff. So I rate that one pretty high. Tomb of Annihilation has some serious like nostalgia. Kind of just love, even though we did kind of hate it and get burnt out. So of those 2, I don't know. I'm gonna edge it with Storm King's Thunder a little bit. But I do love Tomb.
So I will say, if you're a new DM, don't do this module. Just quick word of advice. So I was a newer DM and I did Tomb of Annihilation, and I feel like I did that better than I did this module. And I would highly recommend against new DMs running this, unless you have the time to read it all the way through. It's not a thick module. I mean, it's not, it's not huge, but
there's a lot going on.
Yes, if you're going to do it, read it all the way through. And like Plague State said in the chat, he's watched it 3 different times, 3 different ways. He could probably run a good module now. I agree, because you understand the story and the pieces that are required in the places to put the emphasis on those pieces. If you do not know that, the players will get lost. Let me warn you that they will get lost. Yeah. And you'll have an Alesta moment, and it's no fault against her, and in no way is it a bad thing, but it's when you're in the vault, you're like, what are we doing here? That is a very easy trap to fall into with this module.
Frustration. Yeah. So, I mean, to get back to my list before Bob.
I'm sorry. I'm an asshole.
Sorry, I'm an asshole. Curse of Strahd is very I'm very curious about that, and the only reason why I don't put it high up there, I assume it's really fun, but I just haven't played it, So I'm gonna put Storm King's Tomb, Dragon Heist out of the ones I've played. I've played half of Lost Mines. That one, it's pretty fun. It's like classic D&D, you get a little bit of everything, little dragon, little dungeon, little this, so it's a nice starter set. But yeah, this kind of falls to the bottom as a module, but as a book for source material for Waterdeep, I think you can't go wrong there.
It's very high. Yeah, because Waterdeep is such a good place to be. Yeah. Right.
And I think you could do a lot there if you have this information and kind of make it your own. So that's it, man. I want to say I'm just happy I get to play in a weekly game with awesome people, even if the story is by no fault of the DM, even if the story is kind of meh, it's I get to hang out and have a good time at a virtual tabletop and play D&D. So
and that's what it's really all
I won't
about.
trade that for anything. Yeah. So
I agree.
All right. Is that it?
I do.
What do you got?
I do want to say that I am really, really, really trying to get a Curse of Strahd game going on this channel, and it'd be like a once or twice a month thing. I really want to do it.
Oh,
I'll play.
I really want to do it.
No time. Crime Man Squad, F&C. All right, let's wrap this up. That's our module review of Dragon Heist. Again, if you want to build a Waterdeep campaign of your own, get it. Pair it with Sword Coast, Adventurer's Guide. I think you got some good material there. If you're just playing it to get into Mad Mage, I think you'd be all right. But as a standalone, you might want to skip it, pick something else. And that's okay. There's a lot of options out there. Be a creative DM. Create a world of your own. But
yeah,
we could go on for days, but
oh yeah.
FeatherFall TableTalk, thanks for hanging out here on a Thursday night. Coming up, some big news. We got episode 1 of The Gods We Know on Tuesday. Check them out. Their session 0 is live on YouTube and podcasts, so you can kind of get in at ground zero, learn who these characters are. There's some twins. That's kind of interesting. So check them out Tuesday at 8:30 Central Time, I think. 8:30 Central Time. Wednesday, our new. How do we want to count this? New homebrew with mostly the same characters from Waterdeep.
Yeah.
It's called Ghost of the Past. We're exiting Waterdeep and we are heading south on the Sword Coast to figure some stuff out. So that's on Wednesdays at 6 Central Time. Check that out. And then, of course, always here Thursdays at 6:30 Central Time for the Table Talk. Some new Unearthed Arcana came out today, so we might be talking about that next week. If you want to see what we think about the new Druid, Cleric, and Wizard subclasses, join us next week. That's it. I'm done.
Okay, we're going to go into a quick raid of Grim and Perilous. So
Cut the stream.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be starting that in about 10 seconds. So I want to supplement what Chris said, just as these 10 seconds count down. Thank you for hanging out with us. We love every single one of you, and look forward to giving you more content. But here we go into the raid. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.